for joining us this morning. As we gather, we are reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit and Métis people today. And as this city, we have a responsibility for stewardship of the land on which we live and work. And today we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation of the Anishinaabe peoples of whose traditional territory we are meeting. My name is Scott Stewart. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer at the City of Guelph, and I'd certainly like to thank you for joining us here for what is going to be a very exciting announcement. I'd like to recognize a few individuals that are here with us today. Of course, our MP Lloyd Longfield is here, and our MPP Mike Schreiner, and of course his Worship Mayor, Camp Guthrie. So welcome. And our President of Conestoga, John Tibbits, is with us as well, and we'll introduce him in a few seconds as he comes to the podium. And I'll start by saying that I'm going to keep my remarks short, but I'm also passing it over to our special guest to make the big announcements without giving too much away. And what I want to say is this is a thriving downtown economy that we have, and it's crucial to the health and prosperity of our entire city. A downtown is a place where people work, they live, and they play, and it contributes to the overall social fabric of our community. So downtown being that heart of our city, and we have a great heart. We're always looking for ways to make it even better, and I know that today's announcement will do just that. So without further ado, I'd like to invite John Tibbits, President of Conestoga College, to the podium. John.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Scott. In fact, we've been at this for a long time. I think they found the Northwest Passage sooner, less time than we were able to build a campus. And David Wood's here somewhere. Where is he? He was out there. I saw. Yeah. So this goes back a long, long time, and I was talking a couple of days ago. His father actually set aside 50 acres of land for us about 1848, not quite, it was in about 25, 30 years ago. And the idea was that we would, approach governments and we would build this campus, but we could never do that. So what we decided to do, and this is not, we're not being critical of anyone, we thought, well, back then we had a budget, and we have a board member here, David Walden. Back then, that's a long time ago, 1987, so back in those era, we had a budget of $35 million. Almost every dollar came from public funds. Now we have a budget of $750 million, and about 10% of it. So we are in a much different situation than we were. So we sort of got hold of our own destiny. We found the Northwest Passage. We've gone through. Now you don't even have to worry about it. It's all melted anyways. And I think Mike did. It's all melted. It used to be ice pack, etc. It's not now. So we're looking forward to this. We certainly want to acknowledge, and we've had good support over the years from MP Lloyd Longfield and Mike with your newer to the relationship. But are you a liberal today, or are you a I can't help myself. I'm sorry, as you know, I should probably be medicated. I can't. And I say that in great congratulations, because that's how people talk. I mean, you've been a great representative of your party, but you're seen as a person for the world, so to speak. And I mean that sincerely. So I wasn't meant to take a shot at it. You're not like that woman in what is it, the state who decided to become a Republican or something like that all of a sudden. Sorry, I've lost the plot here. And the next and I have to recognize the mayor, obviously. I got a can and you don't have to. And I mentioned Dave Walden, one of our board members, is here. But it is an exciting. I mean, I'm wound up. I'm wound up too because I raced up here from Milton. Anyway, it's taken years and years of discussion to get here. And this, from my point of view, is the first step. This is the first step. We really are going to embrace Guelph. And remember, we've been here for 50 years. The problem is that we've been on sort of a little outpost on Speedville, and we're going to grow that also. And we're going to link it up to this campus. And what I mean by that, will probably be a shuttle, will have labs, etc., etc. We'll talk about it. So we recently purchased 130 McNell Street, which is just down over here somewhere. And it used to be, it was the current head office of Cooperative Insurance. And this will be the site of our new downtown Guelph campus, and we hope to be open as early as September 25. Now, it's not within our control because they are building, and you know more about this than I do, but they're building their head office in the southern part of Guelph, and who knows, supply chain, whatever kind of issues, etc., whatever they're ready to move, and they're going to move in phases. So we're anticipating that the first phase for us will open in about September 25, because we're going to do a total renovation of that building. It's obviously not designed for a college at all. And we've, by the way, okay here? Okay. We have, just so you know, I mean, this is not a small investment on our part. This will be close to $90 million investment of ours. And that's, it's because we've been able to develop an international business. I mean, I remember when we first went out, it was interesting. We started in about mid-1990s, because I read a book by David Foote called Boom Bust Echo. I don't know if anyone read that, but it terrified me, because I thought it'd be a successor. It's become, I guess, a benevolent dictatorship. I've been here for 35 years now, and so I thought, well, it's a good thing we did this, that we went out and developed an international business, because the high school enrollments dropped by 40% in Ontario in the early 2000s, and in this region they dropped by 25%, and with declining birth rates. So we had to do that to deal with skill shortages in the region, between automation and declining birth rates, etc. There's a lot of upskilling. So we've invested $90 million of our own money in this, college money, which is what you know. This is not a criticism of anyone, but that's our money that we're putting in this. And it's always been a priority for us. I think you know, we tried, well, there was that guy, Johnny Appleseed, I guess, he planted a lot of seeds, etc. But also the little engine what was that story, the little engine? Because we just kept trying and trying and trying, and it sort of clicked now. We're able to do something here. But as I said, we've been committed to this area for a long time, 50 years. We also, you may not be aware, but we also train PSWs at Schlegel Villages in the Riverside Glen area. And our goal, right, in the future, I mean, we're in downtown Kitchener. We're sort of in downtown Waterloo. We want to be in downtown Milton. That's where this came from. But we see the downtown areas as vital to the interest, especially of international, but also domestic students. They want to be, there's more part-time jobs for them. There's better housing, and that's something we're going to be looking at too. We're going to be either what we've done, what we're doing right now as we speak. So we are purchasing residence at University Avenue, not for here, and leasing another one. We know we'll have to, when we open, we're going to have to be looking at housing. So we're going to figure that out. We may have to build something of our own. We may have to work with a developer, et cetera, et cetera. But it provides ideal access to the services and amenities for our students, and also anyone who wants to community and everything. So it took a while, because it takes a while to get, we're not a private entity, we're a crown corporation, so there has to be a lot of checks and balances, especially, with what happened in Laurentian. People get a little nervous when the college residents said we're going to spend $90 million on that building, so you got to go through all this stuff. So we've been all through that. It'll be a full-service campus. It'll be complete with student space. There'll be some recreation space, academic space, labs, etc. And as I said, it'll be connected to the Speedville campus, which is in the process of being redesigned. And why I'm going to talk about Reuter, 25 Reuter, some of you may be aware of that. We have a big skills campus, a trades campus. We're we are doing this. We built the first phase that opened about a year ago, putting all our trades on Reuter, and that way we'll pull the trades out of here. Now, I'll tell you the story. When I first moved up here, I was at the Downtown Inn in downtown Kitchener, and I asked the one beside me, "Are you from around here?" And she said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Where are you from?" She said, "Preston." So I said, "Did you pack some food?" Anyway, and why I'm talking about that is that we are here, but Reuter is 20 minutes away by car. It's not like I realize this in Cambridge. Sometimes people get nervous about that, but we're not moving trades out of the region. We're putting the trades in one big facility. And this campus will be focused on health. It'll be business, creative industries, IT, social services, the whole sort of program. So we're also going to connect, there's a west side of the building will be included. And when we finish, it'll be phases. When the second phase is renovated, we will have approximately 5,000 full-time students. I mean, that's a pretty big, that's a big impact, 5,000. That's a pretty big impact, 5,000 full-time students, because we only have down the road there, we have, I'm not sure it's under, but 700 or 800, would that be fair to say? Roughly. 1,100, okay, 1,100. And also we'll have faculty up here, we'll have support staff, etc. I can't give you off the top, but 5,000, it's going to be a few hundred employees also there. And they'll contribute, I think they'll contribute. One thing we've learned from industry in downtown Kitchener, these students are really available to work part-time in the local community. That's really good. They contribute, they also spend some money there, and also they're available as full-timers. So anyway, we're excited about this, and I can't promise you what the next step is, but the first step is a big step, and I don't want the developers to get too excited, but we'll be looking for other properties probably in the future, but we'll use some other name because we got to be careful when they know we're hunting for properties. I'm not taking a shot at you, Scott. Scott's actually helping us. Scott is actually helping us in an unnamed community to purchase land that no one knows we're purchasing. And we sort of did that here, I think. It done sort of behind the scenes, et cetera, because they think we have deep pockets. We sort of do, but we still have to. We sort of do, but anyway. So I just want to once again thank everybody. I mean, we've come a long way. Someone asked me about what is it going to be called. Well, it's not going to open for 2 more years, but certainly, we have the resources to build it. But it is possible there could be some gaming opportunity in the future. So we'll talk about that. It tells me here I should thank the Ministry of College and University. I want to thank them for approving it. Okay, that's what they did. They approved it. Thank you for approving it. And certainly the City of Guelph working cooperatively with us, and also our industry and community partners who have been tireless support, and the Board of Governors, because Dave Walden knows we have a lot on the go, and they have shown a lot on the go. See, it's my plan never to retire. They can't get rid of me because there's so much going on here. It's impossible. So I'm joking. But we got so much going on. I think we have in the next 5 years about $1 billion worth of projects. $1 billion all over Southwestern Ontario. So it's very when I got to the college in '87, there was always a sense that we were less than the university. Now you have a fine, I'm not being, you got a very good one right here, right in the university as well. Very big player in the bio and ag, very important contribution. And so did Waterloo and Laurier. And we were always made to feel less. And I tell you what I've tried to bring is, we're not less than these people. We're much different. We deal with all 4 socioeconomic quartiles. We are here to improve the social and economic development of the community. So having University of Guelph and having us here, it's not 1 and 1 is 2, it's 1 and 1 is like 15, because there's partnerships possibilities, but the big thing is we deal with all 4 socioeconomic quartiles. We have everyone trying to be the best they can be. At the same time, you need some very elite institutions and the 2 together. I think having University of Guelph and finally having us show up and we're not batting 4th yet, but who knows, one day we may be batting 4th in the lineup here as well. We may be having students, who knows. But with us coming here, I think we're going to see a big difference in social and economic development. So I think I'm finished. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thanks very much, John. Those were some interesting numbers. And what an incredible announcement. And I must say, I like John's math. There's a lot in all of that storytelling you were saying, but 1 + 1 is 15. I'm liking that, John. That'll work for us because there is an economic multiplier, and there is the social aspects of it all as well. Let alone that we've got these young adults coming to town to learn lots. They are able to work when they're here, and they're able to stay here and work when you leave. So these are all exciting things for us. and talking about excitement, our next speaker, our Mayor, Mayor Guthrie. Can't help.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I just want to recognize some councillors off the top that have joined today. I think I saw Councillor Klassen, and O'Rourke, and Alt, and Caton, and Gawler. I think I got that right, but I know I speak on behalf of all of council just to say how thrilled we are for this announcement today. Or as I heard many people say already this morning, the worst kept secret in Guelph, but to have it finally announced formally is fantastic. And it's a glorious day outside, and I feel like that glory up there has come right in here for this announcement today. To build Conestoga campus right here in our downtown core, we are one of the fastest growing communities, not only in Ontario but in Canada, but for having fast growing college also choose to pick our downtown core is just fantastic. Already mentioned by John, we are already home to two wonderful institutions, but this will now really support the academic excellence and innovation that Conestoga College always embraces. University colleges and trades are vital to bolstering the economic development and the community vibrancy. Students will help bring about the community life and the supply of the talent that we need for continued prosperity here in our city and beyond. Adding a college campus to Guelph's core will really make our downtown shine. It's going to help with our downtown economy, it's going to create jobs, it's going to bring students and faculty to enjoy all of our shops, restaurants, cafes, arts, culture, and more. All of this will bolster our post-pandemic economic recovery, which we, of course, are all so really know that we are in. Innovation breeds innovation. Innovation is in Guelph's DNA. Our entrepreneurs, our innovators, our public servants, and academics create amazing ideas, services, and products while tackling at all times global challenges. And we celebrate this uniqueness, or the Guelphiness as we often call it, while creating opportunities for everyone here to thrive. Given this, it's wonderful to welcome Conestoga College to our great city. And we hope we can continue to innovate together and attract talented people here. So I want to also take the moment right now to thank our economic development team and staff here at the City of Guelph that worked really, really hard on this for the last few years. I always heard sometimes often in the downtown core, some people would always be like, you guys should really be working on trying to get an institution down in the downtown core. And little did they know, they were already working on this behind the scenes. So I just really want to thank, and maybe we could give a round of applause to our amazing staff. The last thing I'll say is I took the time to look out my window of my office at the current Cooperators building, and I did a little bit of math myself. Cooperators has 11 letters in it. Conestoga College, you're going to be able to use the C, the O, the P, the E, the R, the A, and the T, and the O, and the S, all within Conestoga College, so I'm saving you some money already. You can reuse a lot of the letters from that sign for the new Conestoga College campus down here. I'm already saving you money, all right? Thank you very much, everyone. This is a great day for us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and we always love it when you get loose with saving everybody money. So just a few last remarks from my perspective, just from a staff's perspective here at the City of Guelph. And as it's been alluded to already by John and with Cam, we didn't get here by accident. These things don't happen by happenstance. Our city's strategic plan paved the way for us to accelerate Guelph's economy through leveraging partnerships with our local post-secondary institutions, and in this case, a very good one, and one that is equal. And I echo John's sentiment there. And along that path, we were able to complete extensive research in the development of our 22 to 26 economic development and tourism strategy. Again, that's wisdom that sort of council brings to the table when we set these things up, and we bring other partners to the table to help us implement these things. And through this work, we knew, and we know, our key sectors to be advanced: manufacturing, agri innovation, and life sciences. Additionally, clean tech, information and communications technology, and tourism. All places where council have said, let's make investments. And the investment isn't always just strictly public sector dollars. There's private sector dollars, and there's institutions that also, as John mentioned today, 30 million to 750 million. Significant dollars are being invested in institutions like Conestoga College. So congratulations to Conestoga College. But also the expansion into the downtown. It'll directly support our strategy and help us with our renewed focus on training and attracting the workforce and supporting local businesses, creating jobs, and attracting further investments. And as John said, this is the beginning steps. It felt like a bunch of steps to get here, but it is our big first one. And that leads to other investments that happen. You know, success breeds success, and we get a bit of rolling thunder with these things as we think about Guelph's industry and our various clusters and the key sectors to us. We have acknowledged the economic development team through Jane Holmes, our DCO and IDE, and the shy one, I think he's in the room, but Bill Bond is in there, and he really led the things behind the team, or in front of the team, and then there's a whole bunch of folks behind that, so that we can make these things, when we get to yes, we get there in a hurry, that make it easy to deal with Guelph, so that you can move through the approval systems perfectly, and that's what happens when great partners look to each other as partners. That's exactly what happened here today. So this is a win for all of us in Guelph, so on behalf of our entire city, I want to thank you, John, and your team, for all the work that's gone into this, and we're excited to partner with you for the long term. And we know that that economic impact that the college will bring and has already brought to southwestern Ontario. So we're looking forward to this becoming a new chapter, and we're part of that story. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. We always appreciate when you can give us a bit of your time when we make these announcements. And I would just add at this stage, I'd like to invite the media if you have any questions. So when we do that, if you would just identify yourself, the organization you represent, and maybe be very specific who you want to answer the question, because you might get everybody answering it, and you might want it from a particular individual. And then we'll do that. We're going to do a quick photo after the questions, and then we'll invite you into the room. There's two exciting things in there. You'll see a level of detail of all the stuff that's going to happen in that building, in Skyline's building. We didn't mention them today, but it's Skyline's building, and they've been a great partner behind the scenes as well. And there's also some nibblies in there, so that's an important piece as well. So with that, I'll look to the media to see if there's any questions you might have.
My question is for Mr. Tibbits.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to get up at the podium, that would help Neil.
Hear me better.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned the campus up on Speedville Avenue. Is there some kind of assurance you can make that we're not trading like the possibility of one big empty downtown for another big empty in the West End?
We're not going to do that. We'd be very foolish to. We're growing. We've gone from in the last 10 years, we've had about 10,000 students. We wouldn't do that at all. And there's a big disadvantage for doing it. I know some people are opposed. If we want to sell a building, we then have to go into a process, into a public process. We can't just sell it at market value, and we'd have to maybe sell it to a private college or something like that. We have to do that. So I'm joking, but the point is, we're not selling that. We're going to use it for labs. In fact, Sandra, we have a whole bunch of new programming we're going to put there, and we are, as we speak, we put in millions. I'm trying to remember this year how many millions of dollars we spent. So, Tim, how many millions of dollars we spent upgrading the Speedville campus in the last year?
$4 million for the renovation. $4 million for the
$4 million.
of the front.
So that's not a good idea to spend $4 million and dump it. So we are investing in it because we're shifting. We're going to be shifting the programming. Now there will be some trades. There'll be some welding programming because there's a big need for some welding training. So absolute guarantee we will not sell Speedville. In fact, we'll have a shuttle running, and there'll be some programming here where it might need labs, and we're not sure, and we have the labs there. Because that building is mainly going to be theoretical classroom spaces. It's going to be that. We don't want to put heavy-duty labs. And that has higher bays over there. This one doesn't. So that's a commitment. I plan to be around a few more years, so you can almost you could roast me. But guarantee we're not selling Speedville.
Okay, perfect. And if I could be permitted to follow up on a different topic, you mentioned housing. Students in Guelph already, particularly on the front line of the housing crunch here. Is there any plan for on Conestoga's end to help develop student housing?
We have some concept ideas. Remember, we just got approval, like, was it the last, Tim?
Last Friday.
Last Friday, we got approval. It took about 5 months to get approval from the government, provincial government, not this government, so. Some other
I understand.
Okay. And so we just got approval, but there's some concepts we'd like to look at. I mean, one concept is the idea of having a building where the first few floors were academic space and the last 6 or 7 were resident space. We know that for our students, they need the price point is lower than for university students in general, and so we're going to be looking at that. We have a little bit of time because there's not going to be a student over there until 25, so we have that time. But if you look at our strategic plan, like right now over on university, I mean, we've got 3, well, university, and then I can't talk about the other one, but we're looking at adding about 500 to 600 beds. We know it's an issue,
Okay.
and right across the whole region. So commitment we'll make is that we work with the city, we'll work with economic development. We know we need housing; it's important, but it'll be purpose-built. That's what we need. And I don't want to get silly. You know that movie about Japanese hotels years ago, and they would have a drawer. It won't be like that. It'll be, but smaller rooms. It's being done. I know UBC has some of that housing, much smaller rooms, especially if you're in downtown and you're not going to spend all your life in your room anyway. So
Right.
why not make the room smaller, make it more affordable? So that's the kind of thing.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
that's it.
Perfect. No? Graham McNaughton, Guelph Mercury Tribune. You had mentioned about the $90 million budget that the college has. Is the plan for the college to fund this entire project, or is there money coming from other sources?
Well, look, we're like we're not quite developers, but we're more and more in that business. So what we have looking at in our, Eric back there, I gotta be careful here, but he's responsible. He's been here for like an hour. I mean, how long have you been here, Eric? But I'm not. I don't want to put him on the spot, but we have a certain amount of cash reserves, and what we have to do is what is the right blend of paying cash and borrowing. And I would know in this particular one that if we don't want to just put a whole bunch of cash, we will likely borrow money and pay it over a period of time, which makes sense, especially if we have major projects. And I'm not exaggerating. I say there's $1 billion worth of projects. I'm not saying they're all going to happen, but there's no way you can just do them all by paying cash. So there'll be likely some borrowing here for this project. I think I'm right there, Tim. Is that, and Eric? We're looking at a blend of what are we going to pay down and what are we going to pay down over a period of time. Okay.
Okay. The other question I had, you may want to touch on this, but could go to city staff as well. Currently, in lieu of property taxes, the University of Guelph pays a head and bed tax, about $75 per student.
That's what we do too.
That's what you do as well? Just wanted to confirm that. Okay.
Yeah, it's, in some ways, I guess it's nice to have an industry here, but on the other hand, one of the big societal issues really is skilled shortages, right? So it's the right blend of having post-secondary and having industry here, because you need us and we need industry, but you need us to be training people. Absolutely, and there's certain areas, I mean, why we have a lot of international students is that there's certain areas it's hard to get domestic students. Like, we're very big in food processing. People have this image, it's like all Labradors. It's not. I mean, if you go to these big food processing plants, it's a very advanced manufacturing, and yet, the average Canadian thinks they're better off to go to university. I got to be careful what I'm saying here, but there's not enough, and the same with the trades. We can't get enough domestic students. I mean, if you look at in the trades, the industrial trades, less than 5% of the employees are women, and in our college, in spite of the fact that we allow veterans, less than 5% of the students are women. This is a big issue. So obviously we're working on that, but in the short term, we're going to have to bring in people from other countries so we can fill these programs and to meet the needs of industry. Okay.
Okay.
I'll throw another question, and maybe Scott can comment on this as well to give you a break. But I know that the mayor joked this is the worst kept secret in town, and I know that this has been, something we've been trying to get going. The city's been trying to get going, bringing Conestoga into the core, various proposals. What made this the right proposal at the right time for the city and for Conestoga?
Well, I'll talk from my point of view. One, we can do it. I mean, before, we were going this way, like going to the provincial, we need this, we need that, maybe beg some private sector development. I can tell you some bad history of this, but I won't talk about that. But the point is, we were always hands out this way, now we're coming this way. And we can invest in this ourselves. And this was always the right place to be. I mean, I think everyone knows, we've been trying to get here. I mean, David's father, deceased father, was a big supporter, wanted us to build something years. We should have been here a long time ago. And I'm not blaming anyone, but it just wasn't going to happen. We had to make it happen. The only reason we could make it happen is that we were able to build an international business, because you cannot, and I know Guelph, you cannot meet the skills needs with just a domestic population. You will in another 20 years, and that's why, by the way, some of you may not be aware, but the international student business in Canada is a $22 billion business. $22 billion. And I want to thank the federal government, because they really, I used to go to Toronto on a regular basis, and I'd be in a taxi, and I'd be talking to some guy who's an engineer, he's riding a cab, or I go to get a medical in Toronto, and the person doing the ultrasound is a doctor from Pakistan or something like that. But doing it this way, and having these students, and don't forget, that's the other thing, most of these international students will come here with degrees. I mean, these are highly skilled people, and they're coming here because they want to become Canadian citizens, they want to get jobs, and they want to contribute. So you're not going to have a whole pile of people partying. I'm not suggesting that's what Guelph people are doing, but these are older students that are coming, they have a reason for coming, and they're paying out of their pocket. Right? This is not maybe mommy and daddy are paying, but I don't think so. A lot of cases, they're making a sacrifice to pay. I think that's it.
Thank you.
So Alan, look, the fun part of following John is you forget what the question was.
Why this deal right now? Yeah.
So listen, timing is everything. So sometimes, there has been a lot of, a dance to, like expand Conestoga's footprint. So that it's not like we're new here. You've been here for a long time, like you said. But our alignment happens. And that's what happens when council and staff get in alignment. You do strategic plans on purpose because it lets you focus instead of your scattergun approach to life. So we focused on the downtown. We focused on investing in Baker District. We focused on building the garage back here. We focused on all the investment we're about to make over the next decade of millions of dollars of infrastructure so you can service programs like this. And we listened to our partners at DGDA and the Chamber. What's important to us? What does business need? Business needs employees. So that's a good focus, and council got focused on this stuff. So it feels like quietly it takes a long time, because it does. But that's what happens when alignment happens. You have great announcements like this. And it's a fabulous multiplier for the downtown. And as I mentioned earlier, all great cities have a great heart, and we have one. But this is how do you improve it? And yes, we'll have challenges. You mentioned housing. But we've also got a great transit program. So as we expand transit, think about that too. What's right across the street? Well, our central station. So that's going to help us as well. So there's a lot of alignment that's happened inside City Hall, and that's why we've been able to get the yes at this point. So we're excited because of the alignment.
He should be up there more often. He's getting you straighter answers.
I like his meandering path. That's fun too. Any other questions?
Sorry, I got one more. And the calculations on this may not have been done yet, but what's the expected economic impact on there being a campus downtown?
So your initial assessment, right? We haven't quite finished it all yet, but look at the numbers. There's hundreds of employees, 5,000 students. So our folks in ACDAP will be doing the work. Will continue to do the work. There's the spin-off benefit of, just so I don't have an answer. So let me say that, but I'm gonna sort of meander a little bit like John has done too. Cooperators were leaving the downtown and they were investing in Guelph. They stayed in Guelph, so we were happy to see that. Skyline are making an investment to improve this building with this great partnership. So there's employed people now that will happen in terms of the investment. that takes place. So those multipliers are there for us. You've heard John say that these students will come in, they're gonna be employed, and there'll be more stores open up in downtown.
Can I-
But maybe you've got.
Yeah, I can give you a quick, yeah, sorry. So maybe we could get that for the media. So the traditional way to do this, what the universities do, and I'm not being critical, they measure the salaries, et cetera, the budgets, et cetera. But Larry Smith, who's an adjunct professor at University of Waterloo, right guy, did an economic impact study for us started about 20 years ago, Brenda. And he has a way of measuring it. So what we could do, because now we have a lot more students, but we could give you an estimate based on a professor of economics at Waterloo who has and we can show you the rationale. But it will be a big number. It won't be like 50 million. It'll be a big number. And maybe we can get that to, I don't know, maybe you could contact Brenda as our head of communications, executive director of communications, and she could give you, here's the methodology, and here's what the number would look like when you have about 5,000 students. Okay, is that fair? Because otherwise we're just pulling a number out.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's great. So, great, thank you very much. That looks like the end of the questions. So we're just going to do one photo up here. So I'll ask our folks to get over here.